Hello, happy Wednesday. This week we have two topics that kind of relate to one another. They're both about physical transition. One has to do with ourselves and what our plans are and how we feel about that, and the other one has to do with legal limits and how young we think is too young for another individual to transition. So I was really trying to think about how I could convey how my body image is and how much of an ordeal it is kind of for me to step out into the world in the body that I have, when that doesn't exactly convey but it is how it is that I feel to the world, if that makes sense. Or really, it's just not how I want to look. And a lot of that centers around my chest. It is rather large, and I don't bind, and that is a choice that I made a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I used to bind, but it made me into a person that I didn't like. I liked the way it looked, but I couldn't really breathe, and it was painful, and I was snappy and mean, and it wasn't worth it to me. So that is something that I don't do, even though it is something that I think about a lot, but I've made a conscious decision not to do it. That being said, I still have a really large chest, and I don't do much about it, except what I can. So getting dressed in the morning is quite an ordeal. I change clothes a lot until I either give up. Usually I just give up and say, you know, whatever the next thing that I put on, I'm not going to look at it, I'm just going to leave. And then when I go through the day, I'm pretty okay. I don't really think about it. I don't think this is what I look like. I kind of forget almost. It's like my self-concept does not really match with how I look. Sometimes, like, I'll walk by a mirror and I'll be like, oh, goodness, really? Yeah, it's hard to get dressed in the morning, and I just filmed myself getting ready, and funnily enough, what I put on, I'm not even wearing anymore. I changed one more time. But, yeah, here's that. So, I don't know if you guys found that funny. It was interesting for me to watch and edit together because this really shows, you know, I really think way too much about it. So that brings me to surgery. Do I ever want to have surgery? Yes, maybe. It's definitely something that I think about a lot, and I would not get male reconstruction. I would get a breast reduction, because that's what I want. I feel that I could look very androgynous with a reduction. A lot of guys even have, you know, the same kind of shape as a really small cup. However, I wouldn't get a surgery unless I was thinner, which is kind of a catch-22, and it's something that I wanted to talk about a bit. So I am very fat, and I'm pretty okay with that, but the reason that I am fat is because, I wouldn't say the reason. Give me a second. So here's the catch-22. Catch-22 is that I wouldn't get a breast reduction before I know what I would look like at a normal weight. Normal weight meaning healthy weight. Because, I mean, who knows? I think, though, that my breasts would not shrink that much because they are pretty dense. The problem is that every time that I lose weight, and I'm good at losing weight, I'm an active person, I know how to eat healthy, so I do it all the time, but once I start to hit that like 20-25 pound mark, I feel like I start to lose some of my androgyny, and it really messes with my head. I feel like I start getting curvier. I think that my breasts start becoming more noticeable. My face slims down, but my face is not masculine. It doesn't have a sharp jawline at all. And it really freaks me out. Fat people, fat men, and fat women, in my opinion, have more of an androgynous look than normal-sized people, or normal, whatever that means. And yeah, it freaks me out. So actually, that's something that I'm working on right now, but it is kind of an issue for me. So the answer to the surgery question, I guess, is yes, I do want surgery, but I'm working on other parts of myself first. I don't know what my ideal body would look like, but I do know that I would definitely have a chest that could pass for male. I hope that answers the question. As far as hormones, no, I would not take hormones. I do not want a lot of the effects. It would be nice to be slightly more muscular, and to have a slightly deeper voice. It's just not for me. While physically it is appealing, I do not want to shed my female identity, I guess. And I know a lot of people can take testosterone and not shed that, but I couldn't do that. It's not something that I want to do, so I'm not going to do it. That's that. The second question for today was, how young is too young to physically transition? That's a tough one. It's a very tough one, because on the one hand, I don't want to control anybody else's life. But on the other hand, I do think that things change as you get older. When I was 18, I was definitely certain that I wanted to transition to male. And now at 24, I'm most definitely certain that I don't want that. And I'm really glad that I took the time to explore myself fully. I took the time to just look at things and to grow into an adult. It's funny to call myself an adult, but at the same time, like Jay said, if I had transitioned at 18, would I be happy? No. I think if I had transitioned as a child, I would have been happy. But, if I had transitioned at 18, I wouldn't be happy. But some people would. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, on the one hand, yeah, it's nice to say, oh, take your time and do what you want, but on the other hand, I mean, you want your life to start, and for a lot of people, their life cannot start in the way that they want it to until they physically transition. So I think that's a personal choice. I don't think there is an age that is too young. I think that we, as a community, do really have to be aware of the fact that gender is fluid, and maybe we should, encourage people to take the time to explore themselves fully. And that is all I have to say for today. I hope that I answered these questions fully. Have a nice one. Bye.